Hello, all you fabulous souls, and welcome to this week's episode of the Queer Quest podcast. I'm your host, Christiano Green, the CEO and founder of Queer Quest and a transformation coach for people in the queer community. So, on this week's episode, I'm doing something a little bit different. I'm actually going to be sharing a podcast episode where I was actually brought on as a guest for the podcast Be Alive by Kate Manser. Now, in this episode, what Kate interviews me on about is actually my own journey. So we talk about me getting severely bullied in school. We talking about, moving from the corporate life into the, entrepreneur life. Talking about my movement Queer Quest and talking about the struggles that I had growing up as a queer person and just my own journey. So it's probably something that I think is going to be quite relatable to a lot of you. So I'm going to share it in just a minute. But if you're someone who is enjoying the podcast, what I'd love for you to be able to do is like, comment, subscribe, review, wherever you are, do something. Because what this does is it's going to share this episode out there so someone else who might really need this can hear it. So I appreciate that. So let's jump in to the episode. Welcome to the Queer Quest podcast, your beacon of light and sprinkle of glitter in the queer community. I'm your host, Christiano Green, CEO and founder of Queer Quest and a transformation coach for queer individuals. And together, we're embarking on a journey of transformation. Each week, we bring you a new training topic or connecting with visionary queer leaders in healing and coaching. Diving deep into conversations that inspire growth, celebrate diversity, and empower you to live authentically. So wherever you are, settle in and let's get ready to unlock the vibrant potential within. This is where your quest begins.
Hello and happy today, Be Alivers. My name is Kate Manser. I am your host for Be Alive with Kate Manser, as it goes. And today I am thrilled to have Christiano Green. He is coming all the way from Bali on the show today, although you are a resident of Australia. Is that correct?
That's correct, yeah.
Yeah, but he's coming all the way from Bali, and he came hell or high water to be on this show. He had to get a new laptop. He had to pick the most amazing animal print shirt that he could find in his closet. He's in multiple time zones since we scheduled the show. So I am thrilled to have you here for that reason. And also because I just think that you are so vibrant, so alive, and so wise. And you package all of those together in a way that inspires people. And you've started a movement that we will obviously talk about today called Queer Quest. And I'd love to talk more about starting a movement in general. So let's let the people know who you are. So Christiano Green is the CEO and founder of Queer Quest. And he is a queer transformation coach who has helped hundreds of queer people over the years to find love, happiness, and success in their life, their relationships, and their career. So we're covering all the bases here. Christiano has over 20 years of coaching experience and is he himself on a lifelong journey of accepting all parts of himself while transforming the lives of others in the process. Yes, we need this. With an entrepreneurial spirit and a heart of gold, yes, Christiano is here. He is queer and he is ready to make 24 his and yours best year. Thank you so much for being here, Christiano, and thank you for everything you've done to make this happen.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be on the Be Alive podcast at 7 a.m. here for me, and I'm feeling alive. But I appreciate that warm and loving introduction because usually I'm on the other side of this because I also have my own podcast, but I'm excited to be in the hot seat today and answer all of those burning questions that you have for me, Kate.
Yes, and tell us what brings you to Bali.
Okay, wow. So I've been in Bali for almost 3 years now. I moved here in the middle of the pandemic. I had kind of went through this massive transformation in my own life, left my, high figure corporate career where I had a team of 300 people. It wasn't fulfilling me in my heart and soul anymore. And I decided that I needed to do something that I'd wanted to do since I pretty much started coaching in the corporate world, was to actually help people in the queer community. Initially, I was helping mostly just people who are gay men because, I could identify the most with them, but it's evolved since then. So when I kind of was able to wrap up my career in the corporate world, I was like, I'm living in Sydney. It was a big city, so much energy. And I was like, you know what? I just need something that I can feel like I can go deeper into my own spirituality, my own journey, because I know that as I continued to heal and transform, I could then continue to do that more for people in my community. So that was the basis of me moving. And then Bali, it was close to Australia. I'd been here many times. I loved the people. I loved the energy here. And when I had a small window to get out of Australia during like the two big, smashes of the pandemic, which we had in Australia, I jumped at their chance and I just left. And then here I am. I didn't turn back.
Wow. What an incredible leap. Did you have a moment where you almost didn't do it? Did you have a moment where you were about to make the leap and then maybe got a little bit scared or second guessed yourself?
You know what? I thought that I might have, but no, the funny thing is it felt like everything was lining up perfectly for me. So in Australia, like they cut anyone able to fly. You weren't able to fly. They opened a window and you had to apply to the government, and it was really, really strict. And I had different friends, people who had applied, and everyone got denied. I filled it in, and within 24 hours, they said, you can go. So everything that kept happening, it was the tick, tick, tick. So I didn't have any fear. I didn't have any reason to doubt. I just said, of course I'm meant to be there because it's all lining up for me to do so.
Wow. And do you feel like big life changes are your MO, or that was more of a one of the bigger life changes of your life?
Definitely one of the bigger life changes of my life for sure. I think since doing something like, a big massive change was for me, like was coming out as a gay man back, when I was early 20s. And so going through something where I knew I was going through a transformation and it was a shift of it, I'd kind of been through something. And when I kind of was shifting careers and really stepping into kind of this level of who I am and who I want to be and what I want to do with my life, it kind of felt like I was coming out again. But I kind of had the knowledge of what it was like the first time. And this time I just had to really embrace it and kind of do it, almost like redo my coming out in a way that kind of felt really much more easier to do and much more heartfelt without the fear and the judgment. Because at the end of the day, I was like, you know what? I am me. And as long as I've got me, I can do this, And that's kind of where it went. And so it was kind of like a redoing of my coming out, but in a whole new vision of it.
Well, and you have coached so many people over the years, right? So you came out, you said in your 20s. I'm going to ask around how many years ago was that?
So I came out when I was 21 to my family, and that was 16, almost 17 years ago, because I'm turning into my late 30s, coming into that era.
And looking fabulous.
Thank you.
Looking fabulous, absolutely. The Bali tan is
yes.
looking beautiful on
yes.
you. Wow. So okay, and then you came out at 21. You're now in your early 30s. So and it's been over 10 years.
About 15, 16
and you make
years,
this other big life. 15, 16 years. Yeah. So and you make this other big life change. Talk to me about what it's like to make such a big life change at 21, to come out and the courage that's associated with that. And I just feel oftentimes that when we have awakenings or big transformations in our lives, many people think that we have this awakening, we come out, or we go through our Saturn return, right? When we're 27, so many of us have awakenings around that time. And there's this sense that, oh, that person is now whole, or their life is now set and they're continuing to walk. But talk to me about the onion peeling process that you have experienced after that big thing that took so much courage and was so brave and so beautiful to come out when you were 21. But talk to me about like what happens after that awakening. What happens as you peel the onion back and discover more parts of yourselves that are brought on maybe by that big transformation moment and that awakening?
Totally, yes. So going back there, so before I came out, I was the epitome of someone who was lonely and isolated, dealing with depression, anxiety. I literally had no friends. I would hide away in my own room, even away from my family, because I got severely bullied in school. And so getting bullied and pushed around and picked on and called a loser, called a faggot, got pushed down the stairs, things like that, every single day, it kind of, eats away at you. And you start to, I started to believe that my self-worth was that I was a loser, that I was nothing, that I had nothing of value. And so when I was getting picked on for being gay, I tried to hide that, especially from my family, because the biggest fear that I had was that if my family found out, that they would think the same way. And if they thought the same way, then look, I just couldn't live anymore. So I had to live kind of in secret and hiding. And this was all internal. Like I didn't go out and meet up with any other guys or do any of this stuff because I was so afraid of everyone that I would just hide away all the time. So that was kind of picture of what it was like that. So when I kind of went through the process of it, I had a couple of dark moments where I really did contemplate suicide. And I said to myself, you know what? If you do want to go ahead with this, at least give it a try and see what would happen first. Like you don't know if this is the only way. And that was I was holding on to the smallest sparkle of hope that could happen, that like maybe it would be better. Right. And so went through the process, and that, I won't go into do details because there's so much to it, but that went on for quite a few times for me, like to build up some courage to actually go down to, Sydney, to go to a gay bar, a gay club. Like there was so many times where I went to drive there and halfway I would turn back because I was just so scared. And so it kind of built up the courage, built up the courage. And I finally made it down there. And I went to a big gay club for my very first experience of being around gay people. I would just remember like being like this person who was sitting in the corner, just seeing everyone else and just being like, oh my God, everyone here looks like they are having the best time of their life. They look like they're the happiest people ever. Right. And so like, for me, like I was mind blown. Like I just couldn't believe that there was people like us when all you ever saw on TV was like a gay character getting killed off on CSI or something like that. It was just like really bad depictions of people who were gay, right? You just didn't want to do anything because it just, struck so much fear into me. Seeing that kind of sparked this whole thing for me. And it kind of over the next few months, I kind of started to go out there more and more and started to actually, wow, I've got meeting people and creating friends and like having the best time as well. And so that kind of opened up me to the possibility of coming out and making that change and doing that. In doing so, though, of course, I started to do that and thinking that going out and partying was real life. My vision of gay people was everyone's happy, but not realizing that everyone was drinking and everyone was, not everyone was on drugs, but like a lot of people were on drugs. So thinking like everyone's happy, and I get caught up in that world. Happily though, I was not unhappily doing it. I was living my best life in my 20s, going out drinking and partying, but like realizing that as you go through the journey, as you unfold things, just because I came out didn't mean that all of the trauma, all of the pain, all of the internalized homophobia and all the stuff that I was dealing with wasn't there. So speaking of the unlayering, as I told my family, yes, I was able to unlayer things off my chest, but there was still stuff that had happened within my own family, within, being bullied for so many years that still affected me. And, that this is a big part of a lot of people who are queer that they go through, is that they have this internalized stuff that just they internalize and they hold within themselves. And so just because you come out one day, it doesn't mean that stuff goes away. And because I got caught up into the drinking and the partying, it was a great way to escape any of that stuff. So whenever I was feeling it, I'm just going to go out with my friends tonight. I'm just going to go out with my friends tonight. And so for someone who was going out, you might go out once a week, once a month. I was going out 3, 4, 5, 6 times a week, trying to escape the reality of that. Now that led to me being like really dealing with alcohol in such a high level. That meant I was doing drugs multiple nights a week. That meant that I was, calling in sick for work. I was getting fired from different jobs all the time. It meant that I was constantly like in this, like, okay, if I'm not feeling good, what can I take to make me feel better? And so I was avoiding and pushing things down, which then again was almost like another layer of this internalized stuff. Instead of actually trying to internalize it, I was trying to avoid it and numb myself from dealing with it. And so it took a lot of time for me to get to a place over 10 years where I could actually start to truly unlayer them. And it took me having to get my life and get me together and get myself sober and really like making big changes in my life for me to unlayer those things and continue to do that, which is why I can say I'm on a continual journey of acceptance throughout life, because I believe like all we can ever do is continue to accept ourselves more and more, whether we have a moment of insecurity, whether we do something wrong. Like even the other day when I left my laptop at the airport, I had a slight moment of just going, I'm so stupid, I'm an idiot. And I had to go through this layer of going, where's that coming from? You made a mistake. Like anyone could have done this. But my initial thought was that, and I had to really get to a place within myself and center myself and say, this was a mistake. This has nothing to do with your self-worth, So it's a continual journey of acceptance. Like you're not stupid. You are worthy, but we're human as well.
Wow. So we'll come back. I have a question about making big changes because you seem to be very well versed in that, making big changes and big leaps in your life. But you just said something that I think is so important for myself and for so many listeners, which is you after so many years of doing work on yourself and doing transformation and getting sober and coming out and rejiggering where your self-worth comes from, you had this moment where you started talking negatively to yourself in your mind, and then you caught it and you redirected it, which is that's an amazing practice. But how does someone who is really struggling with negative thoughts that are intrusive, and how do they get from that to the point where they can notice it and redirect? Do you have something you can share about your process? I'm sure it took a lot of time. That doesn't happen overnight, but how you reprogrammed that evil voice in our mind that tells us all these horrible things all the time.
Yes. Something so simple that I, started with when I was going through this, and especially going through the big change where I was unleashing stuff, was I started to, like, at the end of the day, I would start to just to journal, like, how was my day and how I'd feel. And when I was doing that, I realized, like, after a while, like, I started to look back at the notes, and I was like, oh my God, like, I always said to myself, I'm so positive, I'm so this, I'm that, but there's a lot of negativity in here. And so just having that awareness to see it allowed me to go, okay, well, obviously there's stuff in here that's a pattern as well. I was like, okay, there were certain things that I was like, every 2 weeks I have this massive spat of blah, 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 blah of getting stressed. And then what would my normal process be? Oh, you'd have XYZ, like, drink, or then it would be, after getting rid of the drink, it was like, I was replacing it with something else. So it was like, what journaling was simple for me, because then I could look back and see how I was really feeling on a consistent basis, not just in the moment going, oh yeah, it was a good day or whatever. It was like, actually, no, how did I feel? What was my struggles today? Like, asking myself specific questions that allowed me to actually go a little bit deeper instead of, did you have a good day or not? Like, are you happy with it? It was like, no,
Mm-hmm.
what went well today? What didn't go well today? What would you like to have done better? Like, what's something that you can hold on to from today that you're proud of? Just whatever it was, I would journal and then, like, allow myself to look back and then see the pattern and then go, okay, this is some area that I really need to focus on because it's a pattern.
Wow. So let's get a little bit nitty gritty on that. Talk to me about, what was your journaling process like? Was it you'd get into bed and pull out your journal and just free journal? Did you have a question that you would answer at the end of every day? Just like if someone is really starting from zero in journaling, talk to me about what worked for you, because that's cool. I wasn't expecting you to say that journaling helped you to deprogram and become more aware of your negative thought patterns. That's really cool. So, what did your journaling look like back then, and has it evolved?
Definitely has evolved for sure. With technology, it's so much easier. I love to just do a voice note now and just an unpack now. But
Oh,
when I first started, definitely it was certain questions that I would ask myself that would make, I would, like, how are you feeling today? What's the overall feeling that you would have? And, like, I would like to use it as a specific, like, emotional thing. Like, for example, I felt pretty joyous today, and I would say, like, something happened with the client or whatever it was that I would say I was felt pretty joyous, and then I would talk about that experience, and I would say, okay, so that's something that went well. What's something that didn't go well? And then underneath, I'd be like, okay, well, actually, I was, like, really frustrated for 2 hours this morning because, up, and then, I had someone who was running late or whatever it was. It would allow me to go, actually, there was a big period of my day that I wasn't feeling this joyous. So if I just started with the joyous thing and I post that, I look back, I go, that was what I would feel. But I would actually realize that there was other things underneath it. So then after that, the process was, okay, what could be better? And so I would write something and go, like, it would, like, almost help me to go, okay, if you're in that situation again, what can I do to improve it? And so it was kind of, yeah, what went well, what didn't go well, what can I improve, and what's something I can take away from today. And so then those were the four
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
overarching questions that I would have. And sometimes after a little while, that kind of all melded into one thing, because I knew I didn't have to ask the question and write it down. It was kind of like I would know that I was going to answer all
Yeah.
these things, and it kind of ended up being like a journal entry. But to start with, I would start with literally answering each question specifically. And then, like I said, like, it would become in the reflection of me looking back, like, maybe at the end of the month and going, okay, like, okay, so this is some great stuff, but there's some stuff to work on. And what am I doing now to work on that as well? Of course, I also, was going through different online personal development programs. I went through everything through Tony Robbins, through Brendan Burchard, through John DeMartini. So I did all their stuff. And so a lot of I was getting pre-programmed at the same time. But I think for me to be aware of it, which was maybe your question of like the patterns, was through the journey that allowed me to actually look back and see that these were the major patterns that I had to actually do the work on.
Mm-hmm. Amazing. So I'll repeat those 4 questions now, and then we'll also put them in the show notes in case someone is driving and can't take
Beautiful.
the notes. But the questions are, how are you feeling today? And what went well? What didn't go well? What could be better? And finally, what can I take away from today? And what an amazing assessment and analysis. So you said that it really started with you asking those 4 questions if you're listening to this podcast, you're already consuming personal development content. If you're anything like me, my social media feed is full of amazing healers, coaches, and teachers. Yeah. I'll make an aside right now, which is that I recently heard this someone say to ask ourselves, relating to our consumption of personal development content, are we consuming it because we don't like ourselves and we think we need to be more? Or are we consuming personal development content because we love ourselves and we want to lift ourselves up? So that really struck me, because for so long, and still sometimes, I feel this sense of, oh my gosh, I need to be better. I need to do more. But really, to consume personal development content like Christiano's amazing coaching and everything that you put out into the world, as well as this show and the stuff that I and so many other coaches do, really try to do it from a place of love as opposed to a place of feeling not enough. And it's really just a mental shift, but it's so profound.
Yeah. And also from a place of, sorry to jump in there, a place of inspiration. Because I find that if it's there, I get inspired by so many other people, and that helps me to continue to go, oh my God, like I want to talk about that from my perspective. So it's also just inspiring to help me share more of my message when I see it from other people as well.
Yes. And the danger is when we get caught up in this world of personal growth and personal development to just feel like we're always behind or we're not enough. And also to look at other people for the answers, when oftentimes we can get inspired, like you said, from other people, but 9 times out of 10, as it sounds like, the answers, they come from within when we get quiet and when we trust ourselves. And these are 4 amazing questions. Well, actually, yeah, it's 5. How are you feeling? What went well? What didn't go well? What could be better? And what can I take away? What an amazing, they're so simple, but to assess. And so did you typically in the beginning, you went back and you were reading old journal entries, and that's how you started to notice these patterns?
Yes. So basically, I was doing all this stuff. And then on a Sunday, I would have a little review of my week, and I would just kind of drop through that. And then I would go, okay, cool, this is that. And then at the end of the month, I would do a proper review of everything. So like I would sit there and just go through it, and I would actually note down, like, these are the patterns. So I was looking weekly back, but like more of like, okay, like what can I jump into this new week with? Like, what's the intention? But at the end of the month, it would be a proper review where I could actually note them down and really become aware of, okay, like this is something that I need to highlight because it's definitely a pattern, Are you ready to embark on a journey of transformation that's uniquely yours? Welcome to QueerQuest, the world's first and best personal development platform created by and for the queer community. Imagine a space where your authenticity isn't just accepted, it's celebrated. A place where you can grow, learn, and thrive alongside a vibrant community that understands you. At QueerQuest, we're more than just a platform. We're a family. Connect with like-minded individuals, share your stories, and empower each other to reach new heights. Our tailored courses are designed to address the unique experiences of the queer community, from self-love and confidence building to career advancement and beyond. We've got you covered. It's time to step into your power and transform your journey. Join us today at courses.queerquest.vip, see what we're all about, and sign up to begin your quest. Good, bad, or ugly.
Yeah, absolutely. So going back to your process now today, you said it's evolved and you're doing voice notes, and then we'll move on from the journaling thing, even though I think this is so valuable. But what does that look like today? So at the end of the day, you record a voice note, or is it when a thought comes in your mind, you just drop it in there?
Yes, basically. So it's not necessarily the end of the day now. It's literally usually once a day, sometimes twice a day. I'll just be like, okay, I'll get in, and I was doing this just in the notes app on my iPhone, and I would just have like a little section, and then I would have it in a folder, etc. But now that Apple released a new an actual journaling app that came out in the last couple of months, I use that. But in there, yeah, like it's funny, I'll go through whatever it is and I'll select a picture or something from that day, whether it's something that I posted on social media or something I took. I just use that. And then I just voice note, and I just kind of like, it's almost like I'm speaking it
Mhm.
out loud. And I find that it's actually interesting how different it can be when, when I do a voice note to when I actually write it down, because there's no editing in there. It's just speaking freely, and you don't even allow yourself to have that moment. Because when I'm journaling, I would sit there and I would think about it and then I'd write and think, but I just let it free flow out. And I find that that's the most
Yeah.
rawest, authentic version of me when I'm not trying to edit what I'm writing or think about it. I just actually just it just comes out. I don't like there's no second guessing of it.
Wow. So you are so inspiring for a lot of reasons, and one of them being this idea that you have for yourself and that you teach other people and share with the world for radical self-acceptance. And I just love how inspired and how intense you are about self-acceptance, because really we talk about self-love, and I think self-love and self-acceptance are obviously very similar, but they're a little bit different. I mean, self love, like you can say you love yourself, but to really accept all parts of ourselves is a whole other form of love. And so I'm curious, as we talk about peeling back the onion, we do this one big thing in our life, and that's amazing. But talk to me about, what your self-acceptance has looked like over the years. And is there a big moment that you've experienced, say in the last 5 years, where you realized something new about self-acceptance that you didn't notice before?
Oh yes, I mean this topic is something that I love, and I think so many, especially people, I think in life can relate to it, but definitely within the queer community, because you spend so many years of your life as a queer person struggling internally, and this is like when it comes to self acceptance, it literally is an internal thing. And so we have to go on this actual deep journey of really getting to a place of accepting ourselves as gay, as lesbian, as queer, as whatever you identify with. But then there's also so many other layers to that, where culturally, whatever it is, like there's so much to self acceptance that the world is telling you that you're not enough or you're not good enough, that you have to kind of rewire and go into that. So I think for me personally, going through my journey and like knowing how much I was on the other side of it, like where I like was rejecting myself so much, like completely, like I didn't have to let the world do it, because I was the best person at rejecting myself. And so then, of course, rejection was a big, huge problem for me. And I was not doing things to put myself out there or ask people out, because rejection was huge. And that's another big thing that happens within the queer communities. There's this big thing about rejection. And so people hold themselves back because they're afraid of being rejected, because what rejection actually does is it actually makes you feel like you're not good enough, you're not worthy, right? And so going on that journey to do that means that, like I said, yeah, like outside world is the outside world, but the inner world means that, like I said, I can accept myself. Like I said, going through that example of the laptop, right? My initial thought was I'm not good enough, and I was like, I'm an idiot, and I was rejecting myself. But I had to like pull it back quite quickly to get to a place of that. And that's what happens to the best of the best. I hear is that like no one's perfect. Everyone has their moments, but it's about how you pull yourself back and how quickly you can do that is the answer. So it's like no one's going to be able to be absolutely perfect at anything, which is why I say it's a lifelong journey of acceptance. Now, when I'm talking about that, and you said that as well, it's like self-love and self-acceptance are similar. Now, when we talk about like the components of self-love, there's self-awareness. So this is you knowing yourself well enough, your flaws, the great things about you, anything that you want to work on, or like whatever it is, like you know that about yourself, how you come across to other people, right? That's one area of it. Because if you don't have the awareness, how can you do something about it? How can you start to really go, okay, there's a part of me over here that I still deal with, that I'm struggling with in my heart, you know? If I don't have the awareness of what it is, I'll just keep going through the same pattern, and I'll start to feel negative, and it'll spiral, and then that'll cause some behavior in my life that I really don't want to do, but I'm doing it, right? Which for me in the past was whenever I felt any stress or any feelings of unworthiness, I would go to drinking alcohol. That was my poor behavior. So out there, I want you to think about, what is your behavior that you would say would go to when something, it internally happens that you aren't being aware of, or you're trying to avoid, right? Because for me, I was personally making it a mission to avoid that. So I was doing the opposite of being self-aware. It was like I was trying to self-avoid. So there's self-awareness is one component. Then the next one is self-worth, right? And self-worth is around how you see yourself, your own vision of yourself. You're like deep down, like when no one is watching, when you can be at home alone, when all the masks are off, how do you truly feel about yourself? So that's the self-worth, like the self-worth, which is probably closest to self-acceptance, is like, how can I become as worthy as I need to be for myself? Because that means I'm accepting parts of myself, the good and the bad. Then the third part is around self-confidence, right? Now, we all know that the opposite of confidence is insecurity, right? And so how are you doing and what are you working on when you're insecure about something? Are you aware of that, right? Do you class your like something that you're not good at? Does that affect your self-worth? Or is it just something that you're not confident at yet that you can learn to master? Because confidence is a skill set that every single person has the ability to master. We just have to put ourselves in the mindset to see that and go that, okay, I may not be good at this yet, but if I want to work on it, I can be, right? And then the final thing of it, when it comes down to it, is self-care. That's the final component of self-love. And so how much of my day am I putting me first? Am I putting what's good for me in my heart, in my soul, in my relationships, in my career, in my business, in just like my health and fitness, whatever it is? When am I putting myself first? And when I'm making decisions or people ask of me, am I saying yes because it's to support them? Or am I saying yes because I would like to do that for me, which also is a benefit to everyone else as well? So it's also about really realizing when it comes down to self-care, like self-care doesn't mean I'm just going to, have a massage or take a nap. It's like that deep inner thing of like, I'm actually putting in place into my routine, into my day, things that I know are going to fill me up so I can be at my best when I need to be, right? Whether that's having a great morning routine, whether that's getting to the gym, whether that's eating well, or even if it's sometimes treating yourself to something that you really enjoy, like, a piece of chocolate or a block of chocolate, whatever it is for you. But like there's so many small things that people can do when it comes to self-care. And so kind of wrapping all that up there, like when it comes down to self-acceptance, I look at it and go like self-love and self-acceptance are very similar because it's on the same journey where you've got to be like accepting that there are parts, like I said, the awareness, the self-worth, the confidence, and then the self-care. If you've got all that, then you're continually working on that. Then again, you're on that journey of self-acceptance, fully like seeing yourself, owning yourself and honoring yourself in all the best possible ways.
And who better than someone like yourself, and especially, a queer person. And I just want to take a moment to show some respect to the journey of queer people into becoming that, because, if we're looking to leaders in how to become oneself, how to take a time in your life when our hormones are already raging, which is, a lot of queer people tend to come out around the age I think that you did, in 17, 18, 19, 20, when our hormones are raging. I mean, that was one of the most trying times of my life. And then add in, dealing with feelings of what am I? I have these feelings. I don't know what to do. Then the feelings of rejection. So if we are looking for the role models around us for self-worth, for self-acceptance, for courage and bravery, it is the queer people. And, if you have queer people in your life, I would love to know, how you think that we should talk to them. But I would say ask them about their journey, because they have so much to share and they are an example to us of how to find that courage and how to be brave against very strong odds.
Yeah, 100% there. It's called getting curious. And for me, like, I love it when people ask about my experience and my journey, because it also gives you the opportunity to realize how strong you are and how brave you were, as you said, and how much courage you had to have to go through something like that. And then other people who have not been through that realize, oh my God, like you had it that tough. You like, it was like that for you. Like you were bullied severely every single day for years and years and years.
Thrown down the stairs. I mean, my gosh.
Exactly. And so speaking, if you've got people in your life and you don't know about their journey, ask about it, because that's what is going to connect you more, because people connect on their struggles, but they can also connect on the part of the journey where you overcome, and you can inspire someone just by asking, or you can be inspired by someone, or should I say, but just by asking them about their journey, right? What was it like for you, before you came out? Like, when did you know? Like, how was it like for your family? Like, what was it like in school for you? Because they're all vastly different experiences, but you can learn so much from it as well. And also that you give that person a gift of almost, not everyone has the ability to have someone that they can talk to about it. If they can get that off their chest, that can also help them with the realization of that's another layering that I can work on. Or, oh my God, I'm still really triggered by that moment. Maybe that is something that I need to get some support on, because I look at triggering as a gift as much as it is, it can be a burden for someone, right? If you're getting triggered, of course, that's causing you some emotional thing, which can be really not so great for your nervous system, but it can also be a gift in the sense of okay, this is an area that's coming up for me right now, that if I work through, I can actually release it from my body, from my mind, and from my spirit, and actually use it as a part of my journey. There's so many parts that you go through in life where you think that they're nothing because they're your journey. But some of those things that you think are non-events could be the inspiration that someone needs to hear. And I've done this so many times where I've just shared something flippantly, which I don't think is a big deal in the grand scheme of it, but for someone, that was what they actually held on to.
And it's a mic drop.
Yeah. So like I said, that's the part of it, which is why I love getting on and sharing things, because I don't know what someone out here is going to take away from what I'm saying. And it's probably not the thing that I think it's going to be, right? Which is the most powerful thing about sharing our voices and sharing our stories.
Yes. And I mean, we all love a good rags to riches Cinderella story, come from below. And so we have Christiano Green here, who got bullied, who was afraid to what was going to happen when he came out to his family, and who literally got thrown down the stairs. Was abused for who you were and your identity, and is now a coach, having coached hundreds of people, who has started a business around your work, and is on the Be Alive show today wearing a fabulous animal print shirt. And before we came on, Christiano was like, well, actually, I have 4 animal print shirts and I had to decide which one. So if you like a good, come from behind story of just triumph, you're it. And I'm so here for this.
Thank you. I love all of that. And yes, yeah, I love animal print as well, because it just makes me feel alive. Roar!
Well, that's a great segue. So what does make you feel alive? What is it? Talk to me about when you feel alive. What does that feel within you? And then what kinds of things bring that on for you?
Yeah. What brings me alive? I think one major thing that makes me feel alive is just growth and learning. Whenever I find a new topic, whether it's something that is to do with my business or to do with personal growth, or is it something random that I've listened to on a podcast and then I go deep into, it makes me feel alive and inspired. And that's something that I then go, okay, how can I share this with other people? So firstly, getting inspired is just learning, evolving, and growing. What else makes me feel alive is my relationships with people. For me, for most of my life, I didn't find love because I was afraid of it. Like I said here on the past, that on this journey of acceptance, the opposite of acceptance is rejection. And because I was so in this space of rejection, I didn't put myself out there to meet people. And I was also just avoiding so many things. I was like I said, dealing with alcoholism and, drugs and substance abuse like that. I wasn't in a place to be in a relationship, but deep down, there was so much part of me that wanted it so badly. And I wanted to be saved. I wanted someone to come and save me and find me and love me and then heal me. I found that person, but it was in the mirror. And it took many, many years of me looking externally to get there, to get to a place where I did that for myself. So now when I got into a relationship, I came from a place of wanting to help, be a great partner to someone else and give love instead of try to receive it. And so my relationship with my partner, which I've, been in for almost 3 years now, is a place of aliveness. Like we have so much fun together. We laugh every day. We're constantly doing stuff to make us alive. Like we love to travel. We just got back from Australia. Like, things like that, like being with the people that you love, helping people. Like my business makes me alive. Like, I've been inspired over the last, 4 years. Even, throughout my career, I was definitely inspired. But as I knew that before, when I didn't get inspired, I had to make a change. What I'm doing now, I don't have to change. It just evolves and gets better and bigger. And I look at it differently as I evolve. Because when you first start out in something, you think, oh, if I can help one person, it's great. And then you help one person, you help another person, and you go, okay, I want to help X amount of people. And then it grows and grows and grows because you believe you can do more and you have the potential to help more and inspire more. Because I know that not necessarily I'm going to be the person who's taking the steps for them, but I want to have a path laid out where people can find. Because for me, as a queer person of going into personal development spaces, it was scary because there have been spaces where people didn't accept me for who I was, just as a gay man. And I would go into almost every room feeling like I was the only queer person. And it kind of just felt like almost like defeating before I went into it. And I would go through this battle. And I said, you know what? I don't want to be the only queer person in the room. So how do I make a room for it? How do I, instead of wondering about walking into the room, how do I create a room for it where queer people can come and feel safe to learn, grow, and evolve and heal in a space that's there dedicated specifically for them, which is what I've been, focused on in this next version of my career. When it comes to Queer Quest, it is literally about that, creating a space for us to have personal development, for healing, for growth, and do it in a place where like other people get your journey completely, understand it, but will cheer you on because they know what it's like and like they want that for you. Because there's nothing like seeing someone where you were once take a step forward in their life and just go, I knew you could do that. I knew you could do that. Because it also makes youth like that. If we're talking about being alive, seeing someone take a step forward and almost like looking back at your inner child and going, yeah, you did that too. That is aliveness for me as well, like just, I love it. Like I'm getting the shivers right now, just thinking of like the different experiences.
I'm feeling it too. Oh my gosh. So I want to resurface two just incredible gold nuggets that you just dropped. The first one is that you really worked on yourself and you came into the relationship at the point of feeling like you could be a leader in lifting someone else up. And I don't think that you mean that we have to be fully healed to enter a relationship or anything like that. But going into a relationship with the salient sense being, how can I lift someone else up versus how can I get all of these deep needs met within me that I, for whatever reasons, we all have many reasons, can't or won't meet within myself. Like that is so beautiful. So I wanted to resurface that for people. And then the second thing that you said, which I mean, I felt like I was the only one in the room. So I decided to make the room.
Yes.
That's what you said. And that is just, that's that you just have this bias for leadership that I really admire, where, I've suffered a lot from this sense of if I get rejected or someone doesn't, like my book or not enough people sign up for my thing. I've gone through periods where I take it so personal and my sense, I'm like going away from the microphone because I'm getting smaller and like, oh, I should hide away. But what Christiano does is you make the room. You work on yourself and you get curious and you have this bias for leadership. And that's incredible. And I admire that so much. And so, I challenge listeners to think, where can you take a bias for leadership in your life? Where have you been stepping back and maybe thinking that you have to be fully healed or be the expert or have a PhD to lead, when really you just need to have the guts and you just need to have the belief that you could maybe help one person. And so my question to you is, you have created so much and you've done so much good, but I also want to highlight the fact that like you just being alive and you just shining your light is inspiring people without you even really having to I think you should start 1 million nonprofits and write 50 books, and because I think the world needs you. But also don't forget, for people listening, that you don't necessarily even have to write books or donate $1 million or start a nonprofit, that just by being the courageous version, like, look at what you've done. You've inspired so many people just by being you. And so I'm curious about, what does that mean to you? How just our being can inspire people. And have you seen that in your life?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, and I just jumping back to what you said before, so I can relate to the you put this out and you want everyone to love it, and you don't get the response that you want, and then you feel this, and you might start to retreat, but that if you go back to the real reason why you want to do something is, again, if you're trying to inspire people, and you said maybe you wanted 10,000 people to buy your book and only 500 people did, I would say 500 is still a win at this point, right? And so I have to circle my way back to go, you know what? Every step is actually a step towards something, right? And everything happens for a reason, because some of the biggest things that I would go, oh, that was the biggest failure. The setback actually was a setup for me to move in a new direction, or whatever inspired me over here. Because my biggest fear before, coming out and dealing with that was rejection. The amount of rejection I've had to face throughout being an entrepreneur and a business person, it's almost like my resilience is like through the roof, because I've been through it all, and it's okay. Every single shitty day that I went through, or rejection, I made it through, and I'm still here, and I'm still thriving. I'm still moving forward. Am I where I want to be yet? No. But that's life. If we're ever where we want to be, then we're not living. We're not alive. Specifically. So it's the part of the of life that I think is important for us to realize it is a journey, right? And you could be so on course, and one thing can slip you off, and you can allow it to slip you off for a week, a month, a year, a season of your life, or you can let it. You can get some support and figure out how I can get back on track as quickly as possible. Within, sometimes it could be a day, sometimes it could be a few hours, right? That plane ride, like I said, where I realized I'd left my laptop, it was literally, I said, I'm not going to have anxiety for 6 hours, not knowing that I can do anything, because it's out of my control. It took me about 15 minutes to get to a place of going from almost panic attack to realizing that nothing, the world is still alive. Nothing's good. It's a laptop. I can get almost everything back, and what I can't get back, maybe it was not meant for me in that moment. Of course, and now I can get everything back. It's fine. But I had to go through the fear of what are you worried about? What is it? It's a laptop. It's a piece of thing. Can you buy a new one? Is there anything that's valuable that you can't get back? Going through that process there allowed me to, like I said, if this was maybe a year or 2 or 3 ago, that would have ruined my entire plane trip. And I would have been, freaking out. I probably would have allowed it to do whatever in my life. And then so it's about getting back on track. Now I've got to feel like I've got to get back on track with what you asked me, because
Yeah, well, you think I'm just going to say that you just touched on something really beautiful, which is that resilience isn't the absence of being affected. And I think that's, for so long, I thought that resilience was just being okay with everything all the time. But really, what you're saying, and what I believe also, is that it's just our ability to get back up and to shorten the amount of time that we stay down.
Right.
That's it. So can you get back up? Can you feel the did? It's our ability to get back up.
Yeah, 100%. You're getting the ship back on, getting your compass out, realizing that I was off track for a second. But how can I, like I said, get myself back to whatever direction I'm going in life as well? And so, yeah, and I know, and the thing is as well, I know that in life, nothing is meant to be perfect. Nothing's going to be amazing. There is going to be ups and downs, right? And so there's going to be periods of life where it feels like it's not working for you, right? But again, it comes back to, what is your intention? What are you doing? What do you want from life? And so when it comes down to inspiring or being inspired, like I said, through it, it's literally looking back and going, okay, like I said, I have gotten through every shitty moment in my life, and I have continued on. So if you're trying to look externally and find an inspiration, just start by really looking at yourself and say, hey, look, I have got through every shit moment in my life. I may not be where I want to be yet, but that's, like I said, life as well. That can inspire you to make that step forward. There was, like I said, so many years where I wanted to leave the corporate world and literally jump in and do my business, but there was fear of that. And that was I hadn't dealt with parts of myself. But in me having the inspiration, knowing that was really wanted to go, everything was a stepping stone. And I learned so much in my corporate career. And as you said about, you've mentioned about leadership. For me, I had a team of 300 people before when I left corporate. So leadership was in my blood as much as coaching was for the last 20 odd years, right? And so for me, I took leadership as what I do now as well, the same thing, inspiring other people to be their best, right? Whatever job they were doing, I always came in with, okay, how can I support that person to be the best? And so when you say you notice that in me, that I take that as much of a gift as well, like as it is that someone says I'm an amazing coach, because I believe they should go hand in hand. Leadership and coaching. If you're really wanting to inspire a group of people, you need to know how to lead people, and you need to then know how to inspire people through either sharing your story or helping lift people up. Like there's nothing better than just letting someone see their light. That is the most important thing in life. Like, not giving your light to them, but letting people see the light within themselves, you know?
And we do this by trade, you and we do this by profession, right? I call myself an inspirer. You're
Totally.
also absolutely an inspirer. And we don't have to be a coach to inspire people and to, just like you said, to bring the light out of people, right? We can't all be pediatric brain surgeons or executive directors of nonprofits that are feeding the hungry. We can do this in our everyday life. And, a lot of people, we have a lot in common, Christiano. Actually, I used to work at Google. I quit Google and went on a trip around the world. I actually started in Australia and then flew to Bali. And, we both have similar paths now. And what I think now is, like, for me, my path was, at that time I was really passionate about leaving Google, not because I hated it, but just because I needed like a big adventure at the time. But I think that now I see that I could be still inspiring people, even if I was still at Google, or insert corporate job, or if I'm a landscaper, or if I'm a hairstylist, or a data scientist, or whatever, that we just happen to do it by trade. And that's why we have microphones in front of our mouths. You can do it. You just may not have a microphone. You're going to be doing it throughout your daily lives. And that's just, that's really inspiring, that I believe that our best and most obvious and most accessible way to change the world is in how we show up every day, and how we have a mindset like Christiano Green, where it's like we wake up and we're like, first, I'm grateful that I got to wake up this morning. And then it's like, how can I draw the light out of people today? And that absolutely changes the world.
I love that. Yes, for sure. And 1,000,000% agree that it doesn't matter. Like I said, yes, I am a coach, and when we do this for profession, we both do this for our profession. But again, just being you, and leadership is something that you don't have to have 100 people to follow you to be a leader, right? You can be living your life and be a leader and a role model to other people just by how you live your life. And so that's the most important thing that people can do, is like the skills I learned in leadership, I applied them to myself. And so I started leading myself in different areas, which is how I've been able to, like I said, get through the ups and the downs and continue to to evolve and do those things. It's because I know how to lead myself. But in doing that, I help other people lead their lives, which then is a ripple effect, because I know that what I do isn't just helping the person in front of me. It's helping their community, the people around them, because when you shine your light, other people get a chance to get infected and inspired by that as well, So that's the beautiful thing out there, is just like everything is a ripple effect. And again, this is for everyone out there. Whatever you're doing, the kindness that you show to a stranger, you don't know what that does for someone else in as well. So you are doing more than you ever will know to other people's lives, right? And that's the beautiful thing about life, is that everything is a ripple effect in life. And one thing that you take away can affect someone else. So you being your best self, I'm trying to work to be your best in whatever you do and however you live your life, it's going to help other people as well. So like, think about that. If you were looking for inspiration, is you being your best self is going to help someone else be their best self.
So tell me, do you have someone in your life who is not necessarily a coach, but who just lives their life in a way that's really inspiring? And if so, can you describe that person to us and how they engage in life and what you find so inspiring about them?
Oh yeah, there's definitely a number of people there that fully inspire that. Like, for example, like with what we do, sometimes it takes a lot of energy, and there's the parts of me, like, people would think that I'm just fully a extroverted person, because that's how it looks when you look at someone online. but I class myself as an ambivert. I'm, 50% extroverted and 50% introverted. So there are times when I'm out in the world where I don't want to talk to people. I just want to be on my own. And that's because like, I feel like I'm trying to reserve energy. But like my partner, like we go places like, he knows everyone. Like he'll go up and be like, hey, da, 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 da. It was like, if I was there in that moment, I could be like, did they see me? Did I, like that? Because maybe I do. So he inspires me to go, you know what, like if you see someone, like get up, like just you saying hello could be something that that person needed or you need as well. Because sometimes when I do it, I'm like, oh my God, I really needed that interaction as well. So definitely my partner inspires me with like his like kindness. Like he's one of the kindest people out there. Like the things that he does, like, giving money to people who are just like, I was like, oh, like he'll go and give clothes, and we've been to orphanages here. And because of him, it's like, oh my God, like I got that experience and I feel amazing for doing that. But he's the one that inspired that in me. So like I think growing up in a place like Indonesia where like, it is, poverty is a thing, and growing up with almost no money and struggling throughout your life, his idea is like, when I have things I want to give up to other people because I know what it was like to be in that moment. So having that experience, he inspires me because it's like, it's just, he's being kind and giving. And I'm being kind of giving in a different way because I do it here. But he inspires me to do it in more ways than I thought possible. I'm like, okay, great, let's go do that. Yes, let's go off and spend the weekend doing that. So yeah, definitely my partner would inspire me to be more kind and to also, like I said, like be a little bit more bubbly and extroverted when you
Yeah.
see people out in public as well. I don't want to picture painted of me being like this ogre outside of it when I don't talk to anyone, but like definitely there are moments where, like, you know what I'm saying, introversion is definitely the way to go.
Beautiful. Well, and it sounds like you found someone that you help balance one another out.
Definitely. Yeah, for
Mm.
sure.
So tell me, we're kind of coming to the end here, but tell me, I'm really passionate about the idea, and I know that you exude this idea of cultivating everyday aliveness, everyday magic, everyday joy. So talk to me about, what that looks like for you in your life, how you cultivate it, where you have trouble, and what makes you feel alive and aware. And another thing we have in common, just I'll segue a little bit, is the fact that you don't drink anymore either?
No. Yeah, no.
Yeah, me neither. Same. And after I got sober, I realized that I just felt so awake, aware, and alive. And I had been talking for years about, oh, I love being alive, I love life. And then when I got sober, I realized that now I'm like more alive in a way that I never was before when I drank, because drinking, just like scrolling, or any of the number of the addictions that I still have, they're like anesthetizing me. They're helping me to disassociate. And I'm, of course, still peeling back these layers. But I'm curious, yeah, for you, what brings that sense to you on an everyday basis with all the dramas of life and all the frustrations? What helps you feel present and alive?
What helps me feel present and alive? I think there's a couple of things here, and some of them are like opposite. So on one end, it's like I love a good routine where, like, because before, like, and a lot of people can really relate to this. You get up and to work, right? You might start at 9 and you're getting up at 8:30 so you can shower and go to work, and like it kind of feels a little bit monotonous and boring and things like that. So I created a routine where, like, I get up and I go off and I walk my dogs to my partner, and we get up, and like it's just after the sunrise. So it's that beautiful time where, like, it feels nice. It's not too hot. We go do that. Then we'll go to the gym together. Then we'll go off and have a coffee together. And then I'll come home and he'll go off, get ready for work, and I'll do my thing. So having a routine in the morning that isn't just around jumping up and jumping straight into work makes me feel alive. Brings me joy because it's something that we're spending the morning together as well. But it's also like getting in stuff that is making me alive. Literally, my physical body, like taking care of myself in the morning. And then when I jump into the work that I do, I can come from a place of inspiration instead of like, because as much as this is an amazing thing that we do, it can come with exhaustion. It can come with burnout, and it can come with, like I said, it didn't work out today. Like, and you can feel like defeated. But again, if you have things in your life that are outside of that, and you're a multifaceted person, then you can create like the balance between it. So like even if you've had the bad day, you know what you need to do to unwind, to let go of that stuff. So that like the next day isn't, you don't carry that into the next day. Right. So I would do that.
Yeah.
I love going out and playing tennis. I love going to the spa here and doing saunas and steam rooms and ice baths and all of that stuff, like chilling out, like personal self-care time is important to me. But I also love something variety, like so something randomly happening in my day that like is out of the blue, or someone asking me like, hey, like, would you like to go to lunch? I'm like, I actually don't have anything that's urgent that I need to do. I'm gonna go do that. I'll finish that later.
Mhm.
There's the flexibility. So much as I love routine, I also love the flexibility in my life that I get to create it the way that I want to. Right? Like I said, with
Beautiful.
7 a.m., I was like, you know what? I'm going to do my podcast in the morning because I feel like me getting on here is when I'm going to be at my best. So I made sure that my morning worked out well so that I could still be here. And then the next rest of the day, I'm going to go off and do other things. So my morning routine is different today than is another day. But again, I love that. It's like, it's cool because I have the flexibility. I can change things, whenever I like, because it's my life. And that's why I think being a leader of your life, you start to realize that you are in control of your own destiny, of your own life. And so that's, again, something else that I didn't touch on of being alive. It's like, just like, if you don't like something in your life, whether it's your career, whether it's a relationship, whether it's a friendship, it doesn't have to be that way. We think in our mind that we don't have as much power as we do. We are powerful human beings and we are creators, and we can shift and change things at a moment's notice. And sometimes, just understanding and realizing that takes the pressure off. Because then you can go, actually, my job isn't that bad. I've been telling myself it is because I think I can't do anything about it. But when I let go and go, I could if I wanted to, but I actually like it, that could change the whole thing that you have as well. So
we think we're stuck, but we can just stretch our arms out and make that change. But yeah, that it's like the imaginary box is so real.
Yeah, definitely. 1,000%. So,
and I love how you said that to just wake up and do something that makes you feel alive in the morning. I think a lot of people have a fear that they don't want to become a corporate robot or a slave to the job. And so it becomes almost like an act of resistance, an act of defiance to be like, well, if you don't want to be a corporate robot or you don't want to be a slave to your job, but we still have to work, all of us do for the most part, then we can we have to do something to take back our humanity. And, you taking a walk with your partner in the morning and your dog and really enjoying that's like a rebel, like punk rock act against the man. And I love that you prioritize that in the morning and get your humanness, prioritize that before you enter the vortex of work.
Definitely. Yeah. I think that's important, right? And like I said, as much as we can get into that, like I said, monotonous thing of like, yeah, it's work, sleep, repeat, it doesn't have to be that way, And like I said,
Even if
people go, I need my weekend. Sometimes I'm like, it's Sunday. I'm going to go off and do something that I need to do. And it's going to help my week better. But it's like, it's only going to take me 2 hours. I'll do it. And it's fine because like I get to choose that. And I don't do that going, I have to do it. It's like, I'm choosing to do this so that my week's easier, and I'm okay with that, right? Because if every day you're choosing to be alive, then every day you get a choice to do what you want to do. And so there is no weekends in life when you're living your best life. Like you get to choose,
Yes. Ah, that was so beautiful. Christiano, this has been such a pleasure. Thank you for having your bias for leadership and for sharing your sparkle and leading people through really challenging transformations and transitions in life. It's not easy work. But you're in it and you talked about ripples, man, you are making ripples. You are making big old ripples, my friend. So thank you. So where can people follow you, find you, and also tell us about your organization that you've got, the Queer Quest?
Oh, yes. I only kind of slightly mentioned it, but yeah. So people can find me on social media, on Facebook, on Instagram. Those are the main ones, but I'm on TikTok and LinkedIn. But just follow me on Facebook or Instagram if you want to know. And if you search Christiano Green, I think I'm the only Christiano Green out there. But if not, there's maybe one or two. You'll see me. I've got a big yellow thing behind me, like it's clear that it's me. So that's where you can find me there. But yeah, Queer Quest is a organization that has been almost like it's like a love story, and a thing that's come out of all the highs and the lows of my life, especially my journey as an entrepreneur. Being out here in the space of helping people who are queer, as much as it's been amazing, it can be a struggle as well. Not because of the people that are in this community, but because of like it can be difficult to as a queer person to figure out who to trust and who to follow and who to get support with. Now, the idea of Queer Quest is that it is a place where we get experts in all areas of life that are queer. So queer people will be taking care of you holistically. So we've got queer coaches, queer healers, queer trainers and teachers that can help you in your understanding of yourself as a queer person, as a gay person, as a lesbian, as every single facet of the queer community, but also in the areas of health and fitness and spirituality and in business, right? It's a one-stop shop for you to come as a queer person to learn from queer people about all areas of life so you can be alive and you can absolutely live your best life. You can heal, you can grow, you can transform. And the most important thing is I'm building a community of queer people that are just like you, that want the same things as you. Because I know the biggest thing out there that I hear, this is a major pattern that I would say that I would hear from a lot of queer people, is that they find that the queer community can be negative, that it's hard for them to find friends, that people judge them, that it's hard to find a partner, and all these different areas. And so people then, when they tell themselves those stories, because I know I've told myself those stories, they stop themselves from putting themselves out there. So I want to create a community that is way more positive that you can go to, and that, you know what, no matter where you are, there are going to be people who are just like you. You can actually find people who are literally in your box of the queer community that you feel like that you define yourself as, that are just like you, and you can become friends with, and they can support you on your journey as well. Because I want everyone out there in the queer community who feels lonely, who feels isolated, to know that this is a place for you to become your best self as well. So that's what Queer Quest is about. If you want to learn more about it and join the waiting list, you can go to www.queerquest.vip, and you'll find out all the information there, and you can get on the wait list as well, because it's going to be launching later this year. I've got a whole platform and everything worked on. So yeah, if you want to find out more, check us out at queerquest.vip.
Yes, thank you. So tell your friends and sign up for Queer Quest. Community is it's everything. It's so important. There's this amazing quote by Max Lucado, and it says, when you're at the end of your life, will you hug your degree in its walnut frame? Will you want to be carried out to your car so that you can smell the leather one more time? No, of course not. What is going to matter in the end is relationships and people. And so if that's what matters in the end, that's what should matter right now. And that's what you're creating for people, Christiano. So thank you so much. And thank you for being here today and sharing your light with us.
Oh, it's a pleasure. And as you said, I don't want people to feel like they're the only person in the room when they're walking in there. So come and join a room that's created specifically for you as well. Because again, it is people in life that you will hold on to, throughout your life. And like I said, some people come into your life for a reason, a season, or a lifetime, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't mean that any of them are any less special. So why don't you start collecting people,
Yeah.
Instead of collecting things, collect people.
Collect people, find your room. The people are out there for you. Every level of weirdness and wonderfulness is out there for us to express and find our people. Wonderful.
Well, I trust if you're still listening to this point, that means you enjoyed the episode today. So thank you again for listening all the way through. Now, of course, if you've got any questions or shares or comments, feel free to reach out to me across all social media platforms. I'm going to link, Queer Quest below, so you can take a look at it. It's something that you feel like might be a place for you to go, so you can go on and continue your journey of personal growth. But until next week, always remember that you've got this and I've got you. Bye for now.